Welcome back. All right. So on the board, I have every team that is below NHL 500, including 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 teams that are 4-5-1, which is the new 4-4-1. That being said, tonight Nashville can get to 4-5-1. They are against the Edmonton Oilers, who are currently 4-5-1. So we'll see how that all turns out. And then the other ones on the board have already lost too many to get to 4-5-1. So we'll start at the top with Colorado because Bednar's not going anywhere. The 5-6 start is a reflection of the goaltending, right? 455 points percentage. Bednar was hired August 25th of 2016. He has a record coming into this season. His record with Colorado: 341 wins, 217 losses, and 60 losses in extra time. So yeah, Bednar's not going anywhere. Colorado being below 500, I still think just a reflection of the goaltenders because they're still scoring goals. Goal scoring has not been the problem in Colorado. Buffalo, 4-5-1 start for them, 450 points percentage. Lindy Ruff, the new coach, and the pressure, I think, is on the general manager. I think if a change happens in Buffalo, it may very well be a GM change. And then you do always have the chance when a new GM comes in of him saying that he wants his coach and maybe the current coach isn't the guy. But Ruff's only been on the job since April 22nd of this year. His record with Buffalo before, so the last time he was employed by them, 571 wins, 432 regulation losses, and 78 ties, as well as losses in extra time. So Lindy Ruff has a very long and established career in Buffalo. I don't think he's going anywhere, even if Buffalo does struggle. Detroit 4-5-1, so 450 points percentage. Derek Lalonde, hired June 30th of 2022, a record of 76, 69, and 19 in that time. I don't think Lalonde's in any kind of trouble. I think there are some issues with the Detroit roster, which Yzerman's going to have to look to fix. Because again, I do feel like with the Yzer plan, this is where Yzerman could very well be in some kind of danger. And again, I don't think he is. But if at the end of this season we see Detroit getting further away from the playoffs rather than closer to, Yzerman may have some questions to answer from his bosses, the people above him. Montreal, 4-5-1, 450 points percentage. Still in a rebuild. Marty St. Louis, the coach. Since February 9th of 2022, he has a record of 75, 126. Marty St. Louis is a good coach. The team that he's coaching has not necessarily been great. I think he brings a good energy. I think he's the right guy for the job. And again, in Montreal, I don't think there's pressure to win. Boston's an interesting one. 4-5-1 record, so 450 points percentage as established. Jim Montgomery, the coach, since July 1st of 2022. He has an incredible record coming into this season of 112, 32, and 20. I don't think Montgomery's in any sort of jeopardy. And again, I think in a similar situation as Detroit, if Boston misses the playoffs this year, maybe Don Sweeney takes the fall for that, especially if Zadorov and Lindholm don't live up to their contracts. And so far, I haven't felt like Zadorov's been as prominent and played as effectively as he played in Vancouver last season. And Lindholm had a good start, has been very quiet lately. So, Jim Montgomery, I don't think he's in any kind of danger. Boston surprised me before, Bruce Cassidy. But that, of course, was after he'd been with the team for a while, and there were a lot of talks about which players didn't necessarily like him and all that fun stuff. Edmonton's 4-5-1. They're kind of a slow-starting team, and now they're without McDavid, so that record could get worse without him. Chris Knobloch, hired November 12th of 2023 as a replacement for Coach Woodcroft. And after he was hired November 12th, the record for the Oilers the rest of the way was 46, 18, and 5. I cannot see the Oilers making a change at coach. I would be shocked to see, that would be all-time news because, the Oilers went all the way to the final. There are reasons for why this team has had their struggles, and I don't think it falls on the coach. I really don't. Then there's the New York Islanders, 3-5-2 for a 400 points percentage. Coach Patrick Waugh, I don't think he's in any danger either. He was hired January 20th of 2024, and after that, the team went 20, 12, and 5 the rest of the way. So these records do not include this season. But the one thing to keep in mind is, it is Lou Lamoriello. Lou Lamoriello has been known in the past And it is a distant past now, but it's still there, where he was a general manager that was not shy about making a change behind the bench if he felt like he had to. Keep in mind that this is the one move that a GM can make to try to shake things up without trying to move players. Moving players can be really difficult, especially in this current environment with everybody up or near the cap or at the cap. It's really difficult to make a trade. It's got to be dollar in and dollar out. And so I don't think Patrick Waugh is in any danger. But again, it is Lou. You never know. Lou does crazy things. Try growing facial hair around him. Watch what happens. Nashville, 3-5-1 record, so 389 points percentage. But again, they can get to 4-5-1 with a win tonight. Andrew Burnett was hired May 31st of 2023. They had a record of 47-30-5 this past season. And even though this is a very disappointing start for Nashville, I don't know that you can put this on Burnett. You guys can let me know your thoughts about which coaches you think have some blame about this. But yeah, I don't think it's Burnett. I don't think he's in danger of losing his job at this point. I think it may very well be a case, and maybe I fell into this too. Maybe we just overestimated Nashville coming into this season because they had a good year last year. They were 11th overall, and they added some veterans during the free agency period. But the mix is taking a while to work. Maybe it'll start to work better as the season goes along. They've definitely played better since that losing streak to start the season, but still, they're on the board. Chicago, 3-6-1 record, 350 points percentage. Luke Richardson's been the coach since June 27th of 2022. During those first two seasons, a record of 49, 102, and 13. And Luke Richardson's a good coach. I think he is a good coach. I don't think there's any pressure in Chicago. I don't see any point in changing coaches. But San Jose's kind of thrown that whole thing out when they changed coaches in the offseason. So maybe you make a change. The one reasoning I can see for making a change behind the bench, actually I'll say two. When your team is rebuilding, one, you have young players that are not progressing under that coach. So if you're in the midst of a rebuild, those young players have to be progressing. Otherwise, you have to make a change, right? Because either your scouts are wrong and these players weren't very good, or your training staff isn't quite getting things done, and or coaching staff. So that's where you look at that, and I don't think that's a problem with Chicago. And I mean, I guess if there's a personality conflict there, so there's three reasons. In the event that you're in a rebuild and you weren't, and you're like, okay, this coach that we have isn't good for a rebuild, we're going to get somebody else instead for this rebuild. Somebody's good with young players, right? And so none of those apply to the situation in Chicago or Luke Richardson, or really much of the board, but I thought I'd throw that out there because San Jose, just spanner in the works. I'm still surprised David Quinn's gone. The Philadelphia Flyers are also 3-6-1, so 350 points percentage under John Tortorella. And considering how intertwined he is with that organization now, I'd be really, really surprised to see him out in Philly. I can't see it. The only thing I could potentially see would be if Philadelphia decided to promote him and put somebody else into the coaching role. That's the only way I could see that working. And even then, he'd have to sign off on it. I don't think Tortorella would. His record behind the Philadelphia bench, 69, 71, and 24. Not bad considering the team he's had to coach so far. Pittsburgh, 3-7-1 record, and their logo is bigger than the others. You're right, eagle-eyed. 318 points percentage, coached by Mike Sullivan. Sullivan's been there forever. But last year, towards the end of the season, and now early this season, I do see fans who want to see a change behind the bench. I don't know if that's coming, but he's been the coach there since December 12th of 2015. I don't think they're going to necessarily make a change, but it feels like that might be the one where there's a lot of pressure. Kyle Dubas wants to win. Obviously, people above Kyle Dubas want the team to win, and so far this team they look old, and they are, and that's the thing, right? They're looking their age, but the organization doubled down in the offseason on trying to get back to the playoffs. Now, under Sullivan, the record, 375 wins, 219 losses, and 77 losses in extra time. It's an excellent record. Sullivan's a very good coach, but the Pittsburgh Penguins looking for a little more results. Of the guys on the board, I would say Sullivan's probably the most likely to be out first. And then you've got San Jose, where they've started 2-7-2. 273 points percentage, so better than the 200 points percentage they had when I did the stats video a couple days back. Yesterday. Warsawski. Was it yesterday? I don't know. What are days anymore? Anyways, Warsawski was hired June 13th of this year. His first season behind the bench. And I think he's kind of learning on the job, but I think he's doing pretty well. I do think San Jose's better than they were last year. I'm glad they've won a couple of games now to reflect that. And I don't think San Jose is going to be looking to make any change behind the bench. And I think, adding Liljegren, probably a good move. We'll see how he fits in. And I wouldn't be surprised to see San Jose pick up other players. Mike Grier clearly wants this team to start getting better now. They did win the Celebrini sweepstakes. They got their player. And now it's about digging your way up and digging your way out of the mess. And so that's where I think San Jose's at. And Warsawski's the coach for at least this full season, I would think. So, of the guys on the board, I would say that Sullivan's the most likely to be on the hot seat. Bednar's the least likely, along with, I would think, Knobloch and probably Montgomery. But let me know your thoughts, because we always see a surprise firing at some point, usually early in the season. But let me know your thoughts on which coach you think is most likely to be that first one to go this season. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you've not done so already. And I know I'm hedging on a lot of these, but it's because we've seen so many coaching changes over the last couple of years already. And a lot of the GMs that made these decisions, usually a GM is the one to go after they get that coach they want, and it doesn't work out. So there's definitely some teams on the board here where that GM might be feeling the heat, but I don't necessarily think that the coach is. For instance, the New York Islanders. At some point in time, if the Lamoriello magic fades, he could find himself, I would think he'd retire. But either way, that's one to keep an eye on too. But let me know your thoughts. Hit like and subscribe in the event you've not done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.